Hey everybody, this is Pooka, and here I have the finals of the New Berlin, Wisconsin Battle Roads. Now here we have quite an interesting matchup. On the left we have Abe, who's playing a Gothitelle Reuniclus deck, against Dave, who might be a familiar face to you now. This is his third time he's been featured in one of our videos. He's here again with his Typhlosion Reshiram deck, so he's been tearing it up. Here he is again. So we're going to see Abe going first, and let's just talk about the matchup a little bit. When you look at Gothitelle Reuniclus and you're facing a Typhlosion Reshiram, on paper you're thinking, well, this is probably one of the best matchups I can hope for. Once you get Gothitelle out, Magic Room shuts off all trainers. Once you get Reuniclus out, Damage Swap moves the damage off of your Gothitelle to your other Pokemon, and Reshiram Blue Flare maxes out at 120. So unless, the Typhlosion player can get 110 or 120 damage onto a Reshiram in order to Blue Flare, or, excuse me, not Blue Flare, Outrage for 20 plus 110 or 120 to hit that crucial 130 damage mark, unless that happens, which usually it doesn't, once Gothitelle gets set up, it's usually game over. There's no way for Typhlosion to actually knock out a Gothitelle once they completely set up. So here we see Abe communication for a Gothorita, puts a Psychic down, and uses Eek. So right off the bat, Dave's probably going to be feeling a little bit of pressure. This is not a deck you want to be facing if you're a Typhlosion Reshiram deck. You just don't have a good matchup. You have to hope to overwhelm your opponent early on. Hopefully they don't fully set up, because honestly that is your only hope, that they don't set up. If they do, you're just going to get overpowered, and eventually you're going to lose. So, Dave's goal here is going to be to get set up quickly, take some prizes early on, maybe catch or something, and basically just hope that Abe never sets up. That's going to be his plan. And when that's your plan, to hope that your opponent doesn't set up, that's what we call a bad matchup. So, here we're going to see a Sage right off the bat for Dave. Unfortunately, looks like Dave's discard pile is a little off screen, so we can't really see it. But, we can kind of infer what's in there, I guess. So we see a Sage early on. We don't know what's discarded, unfortunately. I wish we could capture the whole screen, but guess I couldn't get the whole thing in the shot. So we see a catcher on Abe's Zekrom. That's going to be kind of annoying. He won't be able to Eek anymore on this. He has a switch or a double colorless in order to retreat. And also, if Abe were to get a Gothitelle out, he wouldn't be able to put it active unless he has that switch or double colorless. So, looks like we have a communication from Dave. He gets a Vulpix out. He's going to be wanting to get that Ninetales into play, start using Roast Reveal. And now we see another communication, alright? So, not sure what he shuffled in there, but we're going to see probably another Cyndaquil. Either that or a Cleffa, but looks like it's a Cyndaquil, so he won't need to Eek. Maybe his hand is that good. And we'll have to see where he goes from here. Like I said, the burden's going to be on him to set up quickly. Now the thing about Gothitelle is, even though you can get a quick Gothitelle into play, unless it's active, Magic Room does nothing, because the ability only works when you're active. If you have it sitting on the bench, your opponent could just play a plus power, and then a catcher to bring it out, and then Blue Flare for 130. And then your Gothitelle is gone. So, something you don't want to do is just rare candy into Gothitelle just to have it. It's a big target, and you're going to waste a lot of resources just playing the rare candy and the Gothitelle. So generally you wait until Gothitelle is going active before you evolve it. Otherwise you're going to waste a rare candy, you're going to waste a Gothitelle for something that's probably going to be catchered and knocked out before you can really do anything with it. So that's something Abe shouldn't do. We'll see if he knows that. I mean, obviously he's gotten to the finals. He was 4-1. Dave was actually undefeated going into this point, and there's only a top 2. So this is for all the marbles. These guys played hard all day, and here they are. So now we're going to see Abe play another communication. Shuffles in Gothorita, which is kind of telling. Maybe he has a rare candy, but still, I don't think you would want a Gothitelle here. I would actually evolve that Gothita into Gothorita. Just to threaten the fact that you could get a Gothitelle. But you don't want it in play quite yet. You don't want it until you're sure you can set up completely. Otherwise, it's just going to be a waste. Maybe you'll struggle to get more things out later. Because Gothitelle is a deck that struggles with resources. It doesn't have something like Ninetales or Magnezone. It's not a stage 1 deck where you need only your stage 1 Pokemon. You don't need something complex like Rare Candy, and then a stage 2. And then you also have to set up Reuniclus, which takes even more resources. You just have to be very conscious of that, and don't overextend yourself. You know, you have to play slowly, take it easy, and eventually, I mean, you can fall behind. Against a Typhlosion deck, you could fall behind all 5 prizes and still come back. That's just the way it goes. Once you get that Gothitelle set up, you're not getting knocked out, period. With the Reuniclus, of course. So, Abe's got to keep all this in mind, but turns out he did Rare Candy into Gothitelle. So we'll see if that comes back to bite him at all. Now here we see not a bad hand from Dave. We have a Ninetales, a Fire. Then he drops down a plus power just to get rid of trainers. And it looks like he played an Oak's New Theory. I'm not really sure though. He's hiding from us off the screen. So, alright. So it looks like he's shuffling his deck. So this is probably an Oak's New Theory. I don't know what else he would play. Maybe a Copycat. But, no, looks like an Oak's New Theory. Alright. So he still has Roast Reveal available to him if he has a Fire Energy. So this is going to be a pretty strong start. And he's going to be able to get going pretty quickly, I would think. So after that Roast Reveal, we're going to see him sitting at 8 cards. I'm sure he got something useful off of that. So yeah, if he can get... I don't think it'll be possible for him to get an attacking Reshiram this turn because... yeah, he attached to his active Cyndaquil this turn. So yeah, that's why. So he accidentally attached a second energy, and Abe pointed it out. That's a good thing. So all we have is a Quilava, and Dave retreats. So not too eventful, but he's a step closer to setting up. And next turn he could get a Typhlosion, then a Rare Candy Typhlosion, and there we go. He's set to attack. Now, whether or not he can do that, that depends on his hand. Who knows? He would need Typhlosion, Rare Candy Typhlosion, Energy, and then that would be able to let him get off a Blue Flare, which is not easy. So, we'll see. He does have Ninetales, which is going to bolster his start quite a bit. And now Abe attaches a second energy to that Zekrom. He retreats, and he's going to have to Eek. So, situations like this is why you see a lot of players use Tropical Beach in their Gothitelle decks. They reach situations where they get a Gothitelle into play, but they don't have any way to further their setup. You know, they have the trainer lock, but then they're just kind of stalling. They don't have any way to get their hand going. So you'd play Tropical Beach, and you'd have Gothitelle active, and you just draw your hand up to 7. Now, in this case, unfortunately, Abe does not have Tropical Beach in his deck, it would seem. You know, it is a very difficult card to get. A lot of people have voiced complaint over it. So here he's going to have to Eek, and you can see it's kind of an awkward situation. What's he going to do here? If Dave were to have a Typhlosion, Rare Candy, Typhlosion, plus power, and a catcher, now granted, that's a lot of stuff to have. But if he had all that, that Gothitelle's going down. That's all there is to it. Another thing he could do is just catcher out the Gothitelle and start using Flare Destroy. That would be annoying just to discard its energy. And then that Gothitelle would never really be able to attack. So here we have a rescue put on Reshiram. I believe we saw Sage's training again from Dave. And we're going to see an Afterburner. So he's got that one Typhlosion out. He's got another Quilava. He's getting going pretty quick here. And now we see Abe does wake up. So Cleffa is all cheery and ready to go again. And we're going to have to see what Abe decides to do here. Because he's in a very fragile spot. He does not have Solosis in play. He cannot get access to Reuniclus anytime soon. He only has that one Gothitelle. And this is a deck that really needs all of the pieces at once. You know, if you have just Gothitelle, not strong. If you have just Reuniclus, it's not strong. Until you have both pieces in play, this deck is actually quite weak. You you just kind of fall apart until you get everything set up. So Abe recognizes this. He's going right for Solosis. Hopefully we'll see him get a Reuniclus out soon. And if he does, hey, more power to him. He's going to have that essential lock that will really turn the tides of the game. And at that point, Dave's going to be in a lot of trouble. If Abe can set up this Gothitelle Reuniclus lock with Magic Room and Damage Swap, there's not much a Typhlosion deck can do once you get to that point. And that's kind of why you've seen a lot of people kind of shy away from Typhlosion Reshiram. It caps out at 120 damage. Trainer lock decks like Gothitelle and Ross Coffin's Vileplume Reuniclus deck, they kind of shut it down. They know once your trainers are gone, you're kind of maxed out at 120 damage, and you can't knock out anything else anymore. So here we could see that unfortunate situation with Dave. But you know, it's still a long ways away. Just because there's a Solosis doesn't mean anything. Abe has to get every part out, like I've been saying, and at that point he'll become threatening. But until then, his deck is very fragile, and we're gonna have to see what happens. So we do see a double colorless on Gothitelle. I hope he doesn't plan on attacking this turn. That would probably be a poor decision. But we do see a copycat. Maybe he's just putting down energy just to have one there. I'm not sure how many cards he's drawn here. Looks like a healthy amount though. So he'll be able to refresh his hand pretty quickly. Maybe get some more stuff out, and that's going to be what he needs. You know, once Gothitelle's fully set up, the game's pretty much over. As long as you don't botch something with your damage swapping, like accidentally leaving a damage counter on your Gothitelle, you're going to be good. Even in this situation, I mean, you can knock out your own Pokemon with damage swap, and it won't really matter as long as you don't knock out Gothitelle, because you're tied 6-6 in prizes. You got 5 to give up before you really have to worry. And now we see Abe doing something I don't know he should be doing. Well, let me clarify. He's promoting Gothitelle. That's a great move. He's going to shut off trainers. But what he just did there is what I was worried about. He actually attacks the Reshiram with Magkinesis for 50 damage. Now, why is this bad? 2 reasons. First one, now Dave can just retreat, and he's got those 2 Typhlosions. We can see 2 Afterburners and energy on that Typhlosion. And then it's just going to be a Flare Destroy, discard double colorless, and that Gothitelle is stuck. Plain and simple, it's stuck there. You know, he's going to discard the double colorless. A will be down to 1 energy on the Gothitelle, and he's not really going to be able to attack any longer with that Gothitelle. The energy is just going to get discarded every turn with Flare Destroy, and you can't keep putting double colorlesses on it. It's not going to work out. I'm not even sure how many he runs, but probably not too many. So at this point, Abe's going to have to just kind of realize that Gothitelle is done for. Don't commit any more energy to that one. Realize it's done for. You know, just take advantage of the fact that it has Magic Room. Leave it up there. Shut off trainers. But start building another one. If possible, of course. If he doesn't have the resources for it, then he's in a world of trouble. But if possible, you need to just sacrifice the active. Don't even worry about it anymore. So now we see a collector. And we're going to see a Reshiram. There's one of them. Hopefully a Gothita, because he needs to set up that second Gothitelle. That's going to be crucial for him to actually win the game. Like I said, that Gothitelle, it is done for. Do not worry about it anymore. Just use it to soak up damage. Use it to shut off trainers. But until you have another Gothitelle powered up on the bench, you're not going to go anywhere. So you have plenty of time. Your opponent still has 6 prizes. And we see 2 Reshirams and a Gothita. So, you know, even though Dave's got 2 Typhlosions out, he's got that Ninetales, he's got these Reshirams coming at you, you're not really under a whole lot of pressure. You know, you have Gothitelle, you got the trainer lock going. If you can get Reuniclus out, perfect. You're pretty much going to be set for the game. Now let's go back to something that happened. Abe used Magkinesis for 50 on that Reshiram on the bench. Now, why would this be bad? Well, we could see a situation where Dave keeps using Afterburner to just put damage on his own Reshiram. In this case, he could build it up to the point where he maybe has 110 damage on it, and in that case, he could outrage for 130 and then get a knockout on a Gothitelle. So this is why you never really want to damage a Reshiram or a Zekrom unless you're going to knock it out in one hit, because you can get in weird spots where outrage can actually knock out your Gothitelle. This could happen here. It's hard to tell. You know, it'll still take 5 energy. That's 5 afterburners onto that Reshiram in order to really pull that off. So we'll have to see if that's possible. You know, it's probably not going to happen for at least 3 turns, but you know, maybe that's all the time Dave needs. Maybe Abe won't get anywhere in those 3 turns, and we can just see an outrage blast that Gothitelle. And if Abe's not prepared for it, frankly, he's gonna lose. There's no way around it. And I mean, if I'm looking at this right now, maybe Dave's not in such a bad spot. Now, he would be if Abe had simply passed instead of hitting the Reshiram for 50. At that point, Dave would have no real option to threaten Abe at all. He would just have Blue Flare for 120. Nothing to really worry Abe at all. Now we have a Junk Arm for Rare Candy, getting Reuniclus into play, and the lock is fully set up. And now Dave has got to be thinking, oh boy, this is what I did not want to see. My plan for not letting Abe set up is out the window. My hopes that he would just draw nothing, they're gone. So now what do? I got a Gothitelle in front of me, got a Reuniclus. I guess the big hope is what I was describing before. You Afterburner onto Reshiram, try to do it 5 times, get 110 damage on it, and then you outrage for 130, knocking out a Gothitelle, and then you just kind of hope Abe doesn't have a second one. If that's the case, you'll win. So, even though Gothitelle is extremely strong when it gets set up, it's still kind of fragile because you're running 2 Stage 2 Pokemon, and you have to get both out. Sometimes, heck, you gotta get a 3rd Stage 2 out because you need a second Gothitelle. And now we're seeing something I really don't agree with. This is, not what Abe should be doing at all. He's attaching to that Gothitelle of active. Why would that be a bad thing? Well, look at Dave's active Pokemon. Typhlosion. What did he do to you last turn? He discarded your double colorless energy. What is he going to do this turn? He's going to discard your psychic energy, and you're never going to be able to attack again. So, you need to just give up on that Gothitelle, power up the benched one, and hope for the best, because the way it is now, another bad thing he could do is retreat. You don't want to retreat Gothitelle here because a catcher and a plus power will end your day. It'll be a sad, sad day in Gothitelle land if we see it go to the bench. So hope he doesn't retreat. Alright, and he passes. So this is the other problem with Gothitelle. You know, in Vileplume decks, you can just use Allergy Pollen, its Pokebody, which shuts off trainers for both players. It works from the bench. You don't have to worry about these kind of situations where you have a Vileplume in play and then a bad hand, so you just go ahead and eek. The difference with Gothitelle is it has to be your active Pokemon. So if you get a Gothitelle and you need a fresh hand, you can't just retreat and eek. You just have to kind of sit there and hope you get out of it. So right now, not looking good for Abe. His hand's not too great. But really, it'll just take one supporter for him to get anywhere. And again, this is why we see Gothitelle decks run Tropical Beach or some way. I've also seen people use Magnezone or just a very high supporter count, because you get in these spots where you get your Stage 2s out. Great. But what's next? You don't have anywhere to go from there because your hand is so low. You burned it down, getting all this stuff into play, and you have nothing beyond that. So this is the problem we're seeing. This is what we're seeing Abe run into. He's kind of hit a brick wall. You know, in some way, it's not even that Dave is beating him. It's just his own deck is so clunky that that's beating him. It's taking so long for him to set up. He's not getting what he needs. His hand is very low. His options are limited. You know, it's tough to beat any deck when you're just kind of stalled in this spot. So, I don't know, if you're Abe, you gotta hope to top deck something soon. If not, you're in a lot of trouble. So, he's definitely got time. He's got a few turns to get going. There is plenty of damage. Soakers on his field, you could say. Plenty of sponges. It's an old term we would use. Those Reshirams and Zekrams, they have high numbers of hit points. He's even got Reuniclus. He can even knock out his own Clef if he wants. Just places to put damage with damage swap. And he also has a Seeker in his hand, which I saw. So, running out of places to put damage, not a worry. What is a worry is that Reshiram sitting there. It's up to 80, and oh, Dave, I don't know, he's thinking about it. He's going to afterburn it to his other Reshiram, and okay, now he makes the right decision. What he needs to do, afterburner onto the bench Reshiram. Now it's at 90 hit points. Now you're in the danger zone. Now he can retreat next turn, do double afterburner, because there will be 2 more energy in his discard pile from retreating the Typhlosion. 2 afterburners onto this Reshiram, putting it at 110 hit points, 110 damage, sorry, which makes Outrage do 20 plus 110, hitting that magic number 130. Outrage knocking out Gothitelle, and that's pretty much going to end the game unless Abe can get some energy into play right now. You know, he's in a very scary spot. He has 1 turn to really do anything, and you know, if he had something like Twins, he could maybe knock out his own Cleffa, play Twins, and he would still be fine. You know, he can get some energy on that Gothitelle, and he'll be just peachy. Pretty much the only thing he needs to do the rest of this whole game is knock out that Reshiram, and then get a Gothitelle active. If he can do that, the game is pretty much over. Typhlosion can't do anything at that point. So now we see Abe passed, and here it comes, that Reshiram, and now Dave is probably in disbelief thinking, wow, is this actually going to work? I only thought this is like a last resort, but now I can afterburn it twice. I got 110 on Reshiram, and I'm going to outrage for 130, and actually that's the first prize taken this game. Kind of strange, but you know, that's pretty much the game-ending prize. At this point, Abe has nothing on his field. He's got those stage 2s, but there's no energy. There's no way to knock out this Reshiram from doing there's no way to stop it from doing 130 over and over and over. And now Abe's probably realizing the bad spot he's in. He's gonna eke, and if Dave has a catcher here, I can't help but think this game is all but over. What can Abe do if that Gothitelle gets knocked out this turn? Well, scoop him up, move on to the next game, unless he draws some perfect hand that I don't even think exists. So at this point, Abe had a strong start. He had that Gothitelle, that Reuniclus, and we're here with the Reshiram with 110 damage on it. It all goes back to that turn where he used Mad Kinesis for 50. It was just, you know, even if you play this game out 20 times and you did this every game, you might not realize that doing that 50 damage earlier is what cost you this game, but in reality, that is what cost you this game. You let the Reshiram get to 110 damage from Afterburner and the 50 from Mad Kinesis, and now you're letting it outrage you for 130 damage every turn, and now here we have another catcher. There it is. Gothitelle's gone, and Abe realizes what's going on, scoops up his cards, and we're moving on to game 2. So, small mistake by Abe, really cost him the game there. Props to Dave for knowing what to do and when to do it. He had that Flare Destroy early on, discarding the double colorless. He realized he could use Reshiram to outrage for 130, so he did everything right. There's still 2 games to go though. Dave's just got to win 1 more. Now Abe's got to win 2. It's still a lopsided matchup in favor of Gothitelle, but we'll see, can Abe pull it out, or can Dave close it out, get his first Battle Road victory? We'll find out next, so tune in for game 2. We'll be right back.